The rain fell in heavy sheets across the city that night, drumming against the windows of Tom Wilson's small apartment. At 38, life hadn't quite turned out the way he'd planned. The small carpentry business he'd started was barely staying afloat, and raising his 12-year-old son Alex alone since his wife's passing 3 years ago had been the hardest challenge he'd ever faced. Tom glanced at the clock. Almost 10. He'd just finished putting away the last of the dinner dishes when he noticed the figure through his kitchen window, sitting alone at the bus stop across the street. Most people would have just drawn the curtains, but something about the slumped shoulders of that lonely silhouette tugged at him. "I'm just going to check something," he called to Alex, who was sprawled on their worn couch, homework spread around him. "Lock the door behind me." "Dad, it's pouring out there," Alex protested, looking up from his math problems. "I'll be quick," Tom promised, grabbing his raincoat and an umbrella from the hook by the door. The rain was even heavier than it looked, soaking through his jeans within seconds as he jogged across the empty street. As he approached the bus shelter, he could see it was a young woman. She was hunched forward, arms wrapped protectively around her middle, a small backpack clutched against her chest. "Excuse me," Tom called out over the downpour. "The last bus left about an hour ago." The woman looked up, startled. Her face was pale in the streetlight, dark circles under eyes that held a mixture of wariness and exhaustion. She couldn't have been more than 25. "Oh," she said, her voice barely audible above the rain. "I didn't realize," Tom hesitated. There was something vulnerable about her. And then he noticed the slight swell of her stomach beneath her rain-soaked jacket. "She was pregnant. Is someone coming to get you?" he asked, holding the umbrella over her rather than himself. She shook her head, a flicker of what might have been fear crossing her face. "No, I'll just wait for the morning bus," Tom frowned. The temperature was dropping, and the forecast had mentioned the rain turning to sleet by midnight. No one should be out all night in that, especially not someone expecting. "Look," he said, choosing his words carefully. "I live just across the street with my son. It's not much, but we have a dry couch and some hot tea. You're welcome to crash there tonight instead of sitting in the cold." The woman stared at him, suspicion clear in her eyes. "Why would you do that? You don't know me?" Tom gave a small shrug. "Because it's raining, the buses are done for the night, and my mom raised me not to leave people stranded if I could help it. Simple as that." She studied his face for a long moment as if searching for some hidden motive. Finally, she glanced up at the darkening sky and then down at her belly. "Just for tonight," she said quietly. "I'll be gone first thing in the morning." "That's fine," Tom nodded, relieved she wouldn't be sitting out in the storm. "I'm Tom, by the way." She hesitated before answering. "You can call me Lily." Something about the way she said it made Tom suspect it wasn't her real name, but he didn't push it. Everyone had their reasons for keeping secrets. They crossed the street together, Tom trying to hold the umbrella over her as much as possible. By the time they reached his building, his back was soaked through. "Dad?" Alex called as they entered the apartment. "Who's that?" Tom watched as his son's eyes widened, taking in their unexpected guest. "This is Lily," he explained. "She missed the last bus, so she's going to stay on our couch tonight." Alex looked at the woman curiously but politely offered a small wave. "Hi," Lily gave a tentative smile back. "Hi. Alex, can you grab a towel from the bathroom?" Tom asked, hanging up his dripping raincoat. "And maybe find the extra blankets in the hall closet?" As Alex scurried off, Tom turned to Lily. "It's not much," he said, gesturing around the modest apartment. The furniture was mismatched and well-worn. The carpet had seen better days, and there were unfinished carpentry projects in various corners. Pictures of Tom, Alex, and a smiling woman, clearly Alex's mother, dotted the walls. "It's perfect," Lily said softly, and something in her voice made Tom wonder what kind of place she was used to. There was an unmistakable quality in her speech, a certain refinement that seemed at odds with her current situation. Alex returned with a fluffy blue towel and handed it to Lily with unexpected gentleness. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "We have leftover spaghetti." Tom smiled at his son's thoughtfulness. "Good idea, buddy. Why don't you heat some up while I show Lily where everything is?" While Alex busied himself in the kitchen, Tom showed Lily the bathroom and the living room where she'd be sleeping. "Sorry, it's not a proper guest room," he apologized. "Please," Lily said. "This is more than generous. She trailed off, looking embarrassed. "Don't mention it," Tom said quickly, sensing her discomfort. "Anyone would do the same." But they both knew that wasn't true. Most people wouldn't invite a stranger into their home, especially not a single dad with a child to protect. Over reheated spaghetti, they made cautious conversation. Tom told her about his carpentry work, how business had been slow lately, but he was hopeful about a potential contract with a local restaurant. Lily listened intently but shared almost nothing about herself. When Alex innocently asked where she was from, she simply said, "A little bit of everywhere," and skillfully turned the conversation back to him. Tom noticed how good she was at deflecting questions, how carefully she guarded her words. There was a story there, a complicated one, but it wasn't his place to pry. After dinner, Alex yawned widely, and Tom sent him off to shower before bed. While they waited for the bathroom, Tom made up the couch with clean sheets and the spare blankets. "Thank you," Lily said, watching him tuck in the corners with practiced ease. "Not many people would do this," Tom shrugged. 3 years ago, after my wife died, there were a lot of nights when a little kindness would have made all the difference. I guess I'm just paying it forward." Lily's eyes softened. "I'm sorry about your wife. Cancer," Tom said simply. It was quick, which the doctor said was a blessing, but it didn't feel that way to us. He smoothed the blanket one last time. "Anyway, that's why we moved here. Smaller place, cheaper rent, closer to my job. It's not much, but it's home." After Alex was in bed, Tom brought Lily a mug of chamomile tea. "Good for sleeping," he explained. "And good for pregnancy too, I think. My wife used to drink it when she was expecting Alex." Lily accepted the mug with a grateful smile. "How old is he?" she asked. 12, going on 40, Tom chuckled. "He's had to grow up fast these last few years." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the rain still pattering against the windows. "I should let you get some rest," Tom said, finally standing up. "Bathroom's all yours whenever you need it." "We're early risers here, but sleep as long as you need to." Lily nodded. "I'll be out of your hair first thing." Tom paused at the hallway. "You're welcome to stay for breakfast," he offered. "Nothing fancy, just cereal or toast, but you shouldn't travel on an empty stomach. Especially now." He gestured vaguely toward her middle. A complicated expression crossed Lily's face. We'll see," she said. "Thank you again, Tom." "Good night, Lily," he said, and headed to his bedroom, wondering about the strange twist of fate that had brought this mysterious young woman to his doorstep on such a stormy night. In the darkness of his room, Tom found himself thinking about her, the careful way she spoke, the sadness in her eyes, the protective way she held herself. Where was she going? Why was she alone? And why did she seem so afraid? Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing away the day and bringing with it the promise of an uncertain tomorrow. The soft glow of the nightlight in the hallway cast gentle shadows across the living room as Lily sat on the edge of the couch, unable to sleep despite her exhaustion. The unfamiliar kindness of these strangers had stirred something inside her, something she'd almost forgotten existed. She looked around the small apartment, taking in details she hadn't noticed earlier. A bookshelf overflowing with well-thumbed paperbacks and school textbooks. A wall calendar marked with Alex's soccer practice schedule. A collection of framed photographs showing happier times, Tom with his arm around a pretty woman with Alex's smile, the three of them at the beach in front of a Christmas tree, blowing out birthday candles. On the coffee table lay Alex's homework, neatly stacked and completed. Beside it was a small handmade book bound with colorful yarn. Curiosity got the better of her, and she carefully picked it up. It was a picture book, hand-drawn with colored pencils and markers. "The Adventures of Superdad and Wonder Boy," read the childish handwriting on the cover. Lily flipped through the pages, smiling at the stick-figure superheroes who saved cats from trees and helped old ladies cross streets. The final page showed the heroes at home eating pizza and laughing together. "I made that when I was 10, came a quiet voice. Lily startled and looked up to find Alex standing in the hallway in flannel pajamas, his hair mussed from sleep. "I'm sorry," she whispered, carefully closing the book. "I didn't mean to snoop." "It's okay," he said, patting over to sit on the arm of the couch. "Dad says I should be proud of my art," Lily smiled. "He's right. It's really good." Alex shrugged, but she could tell he was pleased. "I couldn't sleep," he confessed. "Sometimes I get bad dreams." "Me too," Lily admitted. "Is that why you're awake?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Something like That. Alex studied her for a moment with that direct, unfiltered curiosity unique to children. Is there a baby in your tummy? Lily's hand instinctively moved to her belly. Yes, she said softly. My friend Jack at school, his mom has a baby in her tummy too. She gets really tired all the time. It can be tiring, Lily agreed. Alex tilted his head. Where's your husband? The innocent question hit her like a physical blow. I don't have one, she managed. Oh, Alex considered this. Like how Dad doesn't have a wife anymore since Mom died? Not exactly, Lily said carefully. It's complicated, Alex nodded sagely. Grown-up stuff usually is. That drew a small laugh from her. You're right about that. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Alex spoke again. You can have it if you want. Have what? The book, he said, pointing to the superhero story in her lap. For your baby. Dad says stories are important, especially at bedtime. Lily stared at him, taken aback by the generous offer. Oh, Alex, I couldn't. You made this yourself. I can make another one, he said with the easy confidence of youth. Maybe I'll make one about a superhero mom and her baby. A lump formed in Lily's throat. That's very sweet of you, but this is special. It belongs here with you and your dad, Alex shrugged. Just thought it might make you feel better. You looked sad earlier. Before she could respond, Tom appeared in the hallway, concern etched on his tired face. Everything okay out here? Just talking, Alex said. Lily likes my book. Tom's expression softened. It's his masterpiece. Hard to believe he made it 2 years ago. He ruffled his son's hair. But it's past midnight, buddy. Back to bed, okay? Can I have some water first? Alex asked. Sure, Tom said. I'll get it. As Tom went to the kitchen, Alex turned back to Lily. Are you going to be here tomorrow? The question caught her off guard. I don't think so. I need to catch the morning bus. Alex looked disappointed. Oh, where are you going? Lily opened her mouth to deliver another vague answer, but something about the boy's genuine interest made her pause. I'm not really sure, she admitted, just somewhere new. Because of the baby? She nodded, surprised by his perceptiveness. You could stay here, Alex suggested brightly. Dad wouldn't mind. He's always helping people. From the kitchen, Tom cleared his throat. Alex, don't put our guest on the spot. He returned with a glass of water. Here you go. Now say goodnight and back to bed. Night, Lily, Alex said, taking the water. Think about it, okay? After the boy had disappeared down the hall, Tom sat in the armchair across from her. Sorry about that. He gets attached to people quickly. It's fine, Lily assured him. He's a wonderful kid. Tom smiled proudly. He is. Makes all the struggles worthwhile. He nodded toward the picture book still in her lap. Did he offer you that? Yes, Lily said, carefully setting it back on the table. He's very generous. Sometimes too generous, Tom said with a fond shake of his head. I've had to teach him that not everyone appreciates kindness the way they should. There was no accusation in his words, but Lily felt a pang of guilt anyway. Here she was, accepting their hospitality while revealing almost nothing about herself. I should explain, she began, but Tom held up a hand. You don't owe me any explanations, he said gently. Whatever brought you to that bus stop in the rain is your business. Lily studied his face, searching for any hint of deception or hidden motives, but found only genuine concern. It had been so long since she'd encountered someone who wanted nothing from her. Thank you, she said simply. Couldn't sleep? Tom asked, changing the subject. She shook her head. Too many thoughts. I know that feeling, he said with a rueful smile. After Lisa, my wife, died, I spent most nights just staring at the ceiling. How did you get through it? Lily asked. Tom considered the question. 1 day at a time. Sometimes 1 hour at a time. He gestured toward Alex's room. Having him helped. Gave me a reason to get out of bed each morning. Lily's hand unconsciously moved to her stomach again. I think I understand that now. Tom noticed the gesture. How far along are you, if you don't mind me asking? Almost 6 months, she said. It's a girl. A genuine smile crossed Tom's face. Girls are special. Lisa always wanted a daughter. His expression turned wistful. She used to talk about how she'd teach her to be strong and kind and brave. Your wife sounds like she was an amazing woman. She was. Tom's voice grew quiet. We met in high school. Married right after college. Had 10 good years together before the diagnosis. I'm sorry, Lily said, meaning it. Tom nodded his thanks. What about you? He asked. Do you have family nearby? The question, innocuous as it was, made Lily tense. Not really. The baby's father? Not in the picture, she said tersely. Tom seemed to sense he'd touched a nerve. Sorry, not my business. They lapsed into silence. The only sound the soft patter of rain against the windows and the distant hum of the refrigerator. I had a disagreement with my family, Lily finally said, surprising herself with the admission. About the baby. Tom didn't push for details, just waited patiently for her to continue. They had expectations for me, she went on carefully. A path they wanted me to follow. This, she gestured to her stomach, what wasn't part of the plan. Family complications can be rough, Tom said. After Lisa died, her parents wanted custody of Alex. Thought I couldn't raise him properly on my own. Lily's eyes widened. What happened? We worked it out eventually, Tom said. They see him one weekend a month. It's better now, but those first months were... He trailed off, shaking his head. Families are complicated, Lily echoed his sentiment. That they are. Tom stood and stretched. I should try to get some sleep. Early job tomorrow. Of course, Lily said. I've kept you up too long. Not at all, Tom assured her. It's nice having someone to talk to after Alex goes to bed. The evenings can get quiet. As he turned to go, Lily found herself speaking again. Tom, thank you. Not just for the couch, but for... She gestured vaguely, unable to articulate exactly what she meant, but Tom seemed to understand. Sometimes we all need a safe place to land, even if it's just for a night. He smiled. Sleep well, Lily. After he left, Lily lay back on the couch, pulling the borrowed blanket up to her chin. For the first time in weeks, the knot of anxiety in her chest had loosened slightly. She placed both hands on her belly, feeling the gentle movements of her daughter. It's going to be okay, she whispered, not entirely convinced but wanting to believe it. We'll figure something out. As she drifted towards sleep, her mind filled with images from the day. Alex's earnest face as he offered his treasured book. Tom's kind eyes as he set up the couch without a second thought. The worn but welcoming apartment that felt more like a home than the mansion she'd fled. In the morning, she told herself firmly, she would be gone. She wouldn't impose on their kindness any longer. She would find her own way forward somehow, but for tonight, in this modest apartment with its mismatched furniture and walls full of love, Lily allowed herself to feel, just for a moment, that she wasn't completely alone in the world. Outside, the rain began to ease, the steady downpour softening to a gentle drizzle as the night deepened around the sleeping apartment and its temporary guest. Morning light filtered through the thin curtains, casting a warm glow across Lily's face. She stirred, momentarily disoriented by unfamiliar surroundings before remembering the rain, the bus stop, the kind single father and his son who had taken her in. The smell of coffee and toast drifted from the kitchen. Lily sat up, smoothing her rumpled clothes and running a hand through her tangled hair. She'd slept better than she had in weeks, despite the unfamiliar couch. Morning, Tom called, spotting her from the kitchen. Hope we didn't wake you. Alex has school, so we're always up early. No, it's fine, Lily assured him, folding the blanket neatly. I should get going anyway. Not without breakfast, Tom insisted, gesturing to the small table where Alex was already seated, spooning cereal into his mouth while reading a comic book. Nothing fancy, just toast and eggs, but it's hot. Dad makes the best scrambled eggs, Alex chimed in without looking up from his comic. Lily hesitated, then nodded gratefully. Thank you. As she joined them at the table, the domesticity of the scene struck her forcefully. This simple morning routine, father and son sharing breakfast before school and work, was so different from the formal staff-served meals of her childhood. Yet there was a warmth here that the marble dining room of her family's mansion had always lacked. Bus schedule's on the fridge if you need it, Tom mentioned, sliding a plate of fluffy eggs in front of her. Though it looks like the weather's cleared up, Lily nodded, glancing at the window where sunshine now streamed in. Much better than last night. Where are you headed? Tom asked casually, joining them at the table. The question made her tense. She still had no real plan, just a vague notion of getting far enough away that her father couldn't find her easily. I'm not sure yet, she admitted. Tom and Alex exchanged a quick glance. Well, no rush to figure it out this second, Tom said easily. Eat up first. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Alex spoke up. Dad, can Lily come see my school project today? It's Parents' Day and we're supposed to show what we made. Tom looked embarrassed. Alex, I'm sure Lily has places to be. What kind of project? Lily asked, genuinely curious. Alex's face lit up. We had to build a model of a famous bureau. I made the Empire State Building out of cardboard and toothpicks. He turned to his dad. Remember how you helped me with the little windows? Tom smiled fondly. I just cut the cardboard. You did all the hard work. Sounds impressive, Lily said. You could come see it, Alex suggested hopefully. Dad has to work, but you could go instead. Alex, Tom said firmly. Lily is our guest, not a substitute parent. Besides, I already arranged to come at lunch break, remember? I know, Alex mumbled. Just thought it would be cool to have someone else see it too. Lily felt a strange tug in her chest at the boy's simple desire to show off his work. I wish I could, she said sincerely. I bet it's amazing. Alex brightened a little. Maybe you could still be here when we get home. I could show you then. Before Lily could respond, a sharp knock at the door made them all jump. Tom frowned, checking his watch. It's not even 7:30. The knocking came again, more insistent this time. I'll get it, Tom said, rising from the table. A sense of foreboding washed over Lily. She'd been careful, using cash only, avoiding cameras where possible. But her father's resources were vast. What if he'd found her? Tom opened the door to reveal a tall, severe-looking woman in an impeccable pantsuit. Behind her stood two men in dark suits, their posture rigid and professional. Can I help you? Tom asked, confusion evident in his voice. The woman's gaze swept past him, landing on Lily with an expression of unmistakable relief. Miss Blackwell. Thank goodness, Tom turned to look at Lily, his brow furrowed. Blackwell? Lily stood slowly, her heart pounding. Helen, she acknowledged, her voice automatically shifting into the polished tones she'd been raised with. How did you find me? Your phone, miss, Helen replied. When you didn't turn it off, just silenced it, we were able to track the location. She took a step forward. Your father has been beside himself with worry. Tom looked between them, realization dawning on his face. Blackwell, he repeated. As in Blackwell Industries? Lily closed her eyes briefly, wishing she could disappear. Yes, she admitted. My name is Eliza Blackwell. Alex's spoon clattered into his bowl. The Blackwells who own like half the city? He asked, eyes wide. Not quite half. Lily, no, Eliza, said with a weak attempt at humor. Helen gestured toward the door. The car is waiting, Miss Blackwell. Your father expects you home immediately. Eliza felt a flash of the same defiance that had driven her to leave in the first place. I'm not ready to go back, Helen. Miss, no. Eliza's voice was firm. Tell my father I'm safe and well, but I'm not coming home yet. Not until he's willing to discuss my terms. Helen's professional facade cracked slightly, showing genuine concern. Miss Eliza, you're 6 months pregnant. You need proper care, proper surroundings. Your father only wants what's best. What's best for the Blackwell image, you mean? Eliza cut in sharply. He made his position very clear. Tom cleared his throat awkwardly. Maybe I should take Alex to school early. Eliza turned to him, suddenly aware of how bizarre this scene must appear to the man who'd shown her nothing but kindness. I'm sorry, Tom, I should have been honest with you. You didn't owe me your life story, Tom said quietly. Helen spoke again, her voice softer now. Miss Eliza, at least come to the townhouse. You need rest, proper medical care. Your OB/GYN has called twice. Eliza hesitated, glancing around the modest apartment that had felt more like a home than her family's mansion ever had. But the reality was unavoidable. She couldn't hide forever, especially not with the baby coming. All right, she conceded. The townhouse, not the main house. And I want Dr. Chen notified that I'll be coming in for a checkup. Helen nodded, visibly relieved. Of course. I'll make the arrangements immediately. She stepped back, gesturing toward the waiting car. Eliza turned to Tom and Alex, who were watching the exchange with matching expressions of bewilderment. I don't know how to thank you both, she said. You're really rich? Alex asked, still processing this revelation. Despite everything, Eliza laughed. My family is, yes. Then why were you at the bus stop in the rain? The boy asked, his forehead wrinkled in confusion. Eliza glanced at Tom, who was watching her with an unreadable expression. Sometimes, Alex, even people with everything can feel like they have nothing at all. She turned back to Tom. I want to repay your kindness somehow. Tom shook his head firmly. That's not necessary. We didn't help you expecting anything in return. I know that, Eliza said softly. That's what made it so special. She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card holder, selecting one and handing it to Tom. This has my personal number. If you ever need anything at all, please call me. Tom accepted the card reluctantly. Take care of yourself. And the little one. Bye, Lily. I mean, Eliza, Alex said, giving a small wave. Good luck with your baby. Eliza felt tears threatening and blinked them back. Thank you, Alex. Good luck with your Empire State Building today. With a final nod to Tom, she followed Helen out the door. As they walked down the hallway toward the elevator, Helen kept darting concerned glances her way. Are you all right, miss? Did those people treat you well? Eliza stopped walking. Those people, Helen, showed me more genuine kindness in one night than I've experienced in years within my own home. Helen had the grace to look abashed. I didn't mean, I know, Eliza sighed. But it's true. They had nothing to gain and everything to lose by taking in a stranger, yet they did it without hesitation. She touched her stomach gently. It makes me think about the kind of mother I want to be. As they reached the street, a sleek black luxury car was waiting. The driver jumping out to open the door. The two security men positioned themselves on either side, shielding her from any prying eyes or cameras. Before getting in, Eliza looked back up at the apartment building. It was old and unremarkable, just one of countless similar buildings in this working-class neighborhood. Yet inside those walls she'd glimpsed something she'd been missing her entire privileged life. A genuine home. Helen, she said suddenly, before we go to the townhouse, I need to make a stop. Miss Eliza, your father was very clear. One stop, Eliza insisted. At Blackwell Tower. There's something I need from my office. Helen hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Very well. As the car pulled away from the curb, Eliza found herself staring back at the apartment building until it disappeared from view. An idea was forming in her mind. A way to thank the man and boy who had shown her such kindness without making them feel like a charity case. It would require standing up to her father, something she'd rarely done before walking out last week. But now she felt a new determination. This wasn't just about her anymore, or even just about her unborn daughter. It was about creating the kind of world she wanted her child to grow up in. A world where kindness was valued above status, where genuine connections mattered more than business connections. The car turned a corner, and the neighborhood where she'd spent the night faded from view. But the memory of that small, loving home stayed with her, a beacon pointing toward a different future than the one that had been planned for her since birth. Eliza Blackwell, heiress to one of the city's largest fortunes, placed a protective hand over her growing belly and made a silent promise to her daughter. Things would be different for them. They would build their own definition of home. 2 weeks passed like a strange dream for Tom. The morning after the dramatic revelation about his overnight guest's true identity, he had tried to put the entire episode behind him. He told himself it was just one of those bizarre coincidences life occasionally throws your way. A story to tell Alex when he was older, nothing more. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about her. Eliza Blackwell, the pregnant heiress who had slept on his second-hand couch and eaten his scrambled eggs. The woman whose family name adorned half the buildings downtown, whose father's face regularly appeared in the business section of the newspaper. Dad, you're doing it again, Alex said, nudging him as they walked home from the bus stop. Doing what? That thing where you're here but not really here, Alex explained, mimicking a blank stare. Tom ruffled his son's hair. Sorry, buddy. Just thinking about work stuff. Were you thinking about Lily? I mean Eliza? Alex asked with the directness only children can manage. Tom sighed. He should have known better than to try fooling his perceptive son. Maybe a little. Me too, Alex admitted. Do you think she's okay? I'm sure she's fine, Tom assured him. People like the Blackwells have everything they need. Alex frowned. But she ran away. So maybe she didn't have everything. Out of the mouths of babes, Tom thought. His son had cut straight to the heart of the matter in a way he hadn't been able to articulate. They climbed the stairs to their apartment, Alex chattering about a science experiment his class had done involving baking soda and vinegar. Tom was only half listening, his mind still caught in the orbit of their brief encounter with Eliza Blackwell. As they turned the corner to their floor, Tom stopped short. A man in an expensive suit was waiting outside their door. Mr. Wilson? The stranger called, straightening as they approached. Tom instinctively put a hand on Alex's shoulder, drawing him closer. Yes, the man extended a hand. Richard Patel. I'm legal counsel for Blackwell Industries. Tom's stomach tightened. A lawyer? Had he somehow violated some unspoken agreement by letting Eliza stay with them? Was this man here to threaten him way? The legal action if he spoke to the press. Alex, go to Mrs. Chen's apartment, Tom said quietly. But Dad, now, please. Alex looked between his father and the lawyer, concern creasing his young face, but he obeyed, walking back toward their elderly neighbor's door. What can I do for you, Mr. Patel? Tom asked, crossing his arms. Richard Patel gave a reassuring smile. You've done nothing wrong, Mr. Wilson. Quite the opposite, in fact. I'm here because Mr. Blackwell would like to meet with you personally. Tom blinked in surprise. Gerald Blackwell wants to meet me? Why? He didn't share his specific reasons, Patel replied smoothly. But he was quite insistent. A car is waiting downstairs if you're available. Tom glanced toward Mrs. Chen's apartment where Alex had disappeared. I can't just leave my son. Of course, Patel nodded. We anticipated that. The meeting shouldn't take more than an hour. We could send a car back for you tomorrow if that would be more convenient. Tom considered his options. Part of him wanted nothing to do with the Blackwells and their world. But another part, the part that couldn't stop thinking about Eliza, was undeniably curious. Let me check with my neighbor and talk to my son, he decided. If she can watch him, I'll come now. 20 minutes later, after reassuring a worried Alex that everything was fine, Tom found himself in the back of a luxury car heading toward the financial district. The leather seats were softer than any furniture he'd ever owned, and the privacy partition between him and the driver gave the space an isolated, almost otherworldly feeling. The car pulled up to Blackwell Tower, an imposing glass and steel structure that dominated the skyline. Tom had passed it countless times but had never had reason to enter. Now as the driver opened his door, he felt acutely out of place in his work clothes and worn boots. In the lobby, Patel was waiting. This way, Mr. Wilson, he said, guiding Tom toward a private elevator that required a keycard for access. As they ascended to what the panel indicated was the 52nd floor, Tom's stomach knotted with tension. What could Gerald Blackwell possibly want with him? The elevator opened directly into a reception area where a polished-looking woman greeted them. Mr. Patel, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Blackwell is expecting you in the main conference room. She led them down a hallway lined with original artwork to a set of heavy double doors. Patel knocked once, then opened them, gesturing for Tom to enter first. The conference room was larger than Tom's entire apartment, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. At the far end of a massive table sat an older man with silver hair and piercing eyes that immediately locked onto Tom. Mr. Wilson, Gerald Blackwell said, rising to his feet. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Tom nodded stiffly. Mr. Blackwell. Please sit. Blackwell gestured to a chair near his own at the head of the table. Can I offer you anything? Coffee, water? I'm fine, thank you, Tom replied, perching on the edge of the indicated chair. Blackwell studied him for a moment, then turned to Patel. That will be all, Richard. I'll call if I need you. The lawyer nodded and withdrew, closing the doors behind him. For a moment, the two men simply looked at each other, the billionaire businessman in his bespoke suit and the carpenter in his work clothes. I imagine you're wondering why I wanted to see you, Blackwell said finally. The thought crossed my mind, Tom admitted. Blackwell's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. My daughter can be stubborn, a family trait, I'm afraid. He leaned back in his chair. She refused to come home until I agreed to meet with you personally. Tom raised an eyebrow. Meet with me? Why? To apologize, apparently, Blackwell said, and from his tone it was clear the concept was unfamiliar territory. Apologize for what? For my behavior toward her, for one thing. Blackwell's expression turned grave. And to thank you properly for helping her when she needed it. Tom shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. No, Blackwell said bluntly. They wouldn't have. Most people, upon realizing who she was, would have seen an opportunity for personal gain. He leaned forward. But not you. You offered shelter to a stranger, asked for nothing in return, and even now seem uncomfortable with the idea of any reward. Tom wasn't sure how to respond to that, so he said nothing. Blackwell continued. My daughter told me that your small apartment showed her more genuine kindness in one night than she'd experienced in years within our home. His voice had lost some of its businesslike quality, revealing a hint of pain. That's Not an easy thing for a father to hear. Tom thought of Alex, of the lengths he would go to ensure his son felt loved and secure. No, I imagine it wouldn't be. She also mentioned you're a carpenter. With your own business? The abrupt change of subject caught Tom off guard. Yes, small operation, just me and occasionally a helper for bigger jobs. How's business? Tom shrugged. Steady enough to keep the lights on. Could always be better. Blackwell nodded thoughtfully. Blackwell Industries has recently acquired several properties downtown that require extensive renovation. The Historical Commission is insisting on period-appropriate restoration work. Tom's interest was piqued despite himself. That's specialized work. Not many firms around here with those skills. So I've been told, Blackwell agreed. We've been looking for a contractor who understands historical woodworking techniques. Understanding dawned on Tom. Mr. Blackwell, if this is your way of offering me charity, it's not charity, Blackwell interrupted firmly. It's business. These properties need work from someone who knows what they're doing. My team tells me your portfolio shows exactly the kind of craftsmanship we need. He slid a folder across the table. This is a legitimate offer, Mr. Wilson. The kind my company would make to any qualified contractor. Tom hesitantly opened the folder. Inside was a contract outlining a restoration project for 3 historic buildings. The scope of work was extensive, and the proposed payment figure made his eyes widen. This is substantial, he said carefully. The work is substantial, Blackwell countered, and the timeline is tight. We need someone who can deliver quality results on deadline. Tom slowly closed the folder. Why me? There are bigger firms with more resources. Because my daughter trusts you, Blackwell said simply, and because she made me realize something important. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. I've spent decades building this company, focusing on expansion and profit margins. I've been so fixated on creating a legacy that I forgot the most important part of that legacy is my daughter. Tom saw genuine regret in the older man's eyes. When Eliza told me about the baby, I reacted badly, Blackwell admitted. I was concerned about the company image, about her future, about 100 things that seemed important at the time. He sighed heavily. I forgot to simply be happy that I was going to be a grandfather. It's not too late to fix that, Tom said quietly. That's what I'm trying to do. Blackwell gestured to the folder. This isn't charity, Mr. Wilson. It's an opportunity for both of us. You need the work. I need someone with your skills. And perhaps... He hesitated. Perhaps I need a reminder of what really matters. Tom considered the man before him. Behind the power and wealth, he saw a father struggling to reconnect with his daughter. A man realizing too late that his priorities had been misplaced. I'd need to hire a crew, Tom said finally. This is bigger than anything I've handled before. So you'll accept? Tom nodded slowly. I'll need to review the details, but yes, I think so. Relief flickered across Blackwell's face. Good, Richard can work with you on the particulars. He rose from his chair, signaling the end of the meeting. One more thing, Mr. Wilson. Yes? Eliza mentioned your son. Alex, is it? That's right. She said he offered her his handmade book. A genuine smile softened Blackwell's features. That's the kind of generosity of spirit I'd like my grandchild to grow up around. Tom wasn't entirely sure what Blackwell meant by that, but he nodded. He's a good kid. Children often reflect the values of their parents, Blackwell observed. You've done well with him, especially under difficult circumstances. It was perhaps the most genuine compliment Tom could have received, and it caught him off guard. Thank you. As Patel returned to escort him out, Tom found himself in a daze. The folder under his arm represented not just a business opportunity but a strange turning point in his life, a connection to a world he'd never imagined entering. Back in the car, heading home to Alex, Tom opened the folder again, running his fingers over the contract pages. This wasn't charity, he decided. It was something more complex, a businessman's way of making amends, perhaps, or maybe just a father trying to do right by his daughter. Either way, it offered Tom a chance to provide better for Alex, to grow his business beyond what he'd thought possible, and all because on a rainy night he'd chosen kindness over caution. As the city rolled by outside the window, Tom found himself wondering about Eliza, how she was doing, whether she'd reconciled with her father, how her pregnancy was progressing. He hoped she'd found some measure of peace. The car pulled up outside his apartment building, looking even shabbier than usual after the opulence of Blackwell Tower. But as Tom climbed the familiar stairs, he felt a surge of anticipation about sharing the news with Alex. This wasn't the end of their story with the Blackwells, he realized. In some strange way, it was only the beginning. 6 months had passed since that rainy night when Tom had offered shelter to a stranger at a bus stop. 6 months that had transformed his small carpentry business into a thriving restoration company with a dozen employees. 6 months that had seen him move with Alex from their cramped apartment to a modest but comfortable house with a backyard where his son could finally have the dog he'd always wanted. The transformation still felt surreal some days. Tom stood in the newly completed workshop behind his house, running his hand along a custom dining table he was building as a personal project. Sunlight streamed through the windows, catching on the fine grain of the cherry wood. "That's beautiful work," came a voice from the doorway. Tom looked up to find Eliza standing there, her figure no longer showing signs of pregnancy. She wore simple jeans and a sweater, a far cry from the corporate attire he'd seen her in during their occasional meetings about the restoration projects. "Thanks," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "It's a commission for one of your father's executives, actually. Word seems to have spread about my furniture." Eliza smiled, stepping into the workshop. Dad's always had an eye for talent. She glanced around the space appreciatively. "This place suits you?" "It's a step up from working out of my old apartment's spare closet," Tom agreed with a chuckle. "How's little Rose doing?" Eliza's face softened at the mention of her 3-month-old daughter. "Growing every day. She's with my father right now, actually. He's become quite the doting grandfather, much to everyone's surprise." "Including yours?" Tom asked, leaning against his workbench. "Especially mine," Eliza admitted. "I never thought he'd change so completely. But that night, when I walked out, it seems to have triggered something in him." Tom nodded. Sometimes it took nearly losing something to realize its true value. He'd learned that lesson himself when his wife became ill. "Is Alex home?" Eliza asked, glancing toward the main house. "Soccer practice. His coach will drop him off in about an hour." A comfortable silence fell between them. Over the months, as Tom had worked on the Blackwell restoration projects, they developed an easy friendship. Eliza had visited the various job sites often during her pregnancy, taking a genuine interest in the work and bringing Tom additional projects from friends and associates. "I brought you something," Eliza said, retrieving a flat package from where she'd set it by the door. "A thank you gift." Tom wiped his hands more thoroughly. "You've already thanked me more than enough," he said, though he accepted the package curiously. "This is different," she insisted. "Open it." Tom carefully removed the wrapping paper to reveal a framed photograph. It took him a moment to recognize what he was seeing. A black and white image of a bus stop in the rain, empty except for a single bench. "I had a photographer friend take it," Eliza explained. "Same bus stop where we met. I thought maybe you could hang it somewhere as a reminder." "A reminder of what?" Tom asked, genuinely touched by the thoughtful gift. Eliza's eyes met his. "That sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change everything." Tom studied the photograph, appreciating its artistic quality and the sentiment behind it. "I'll find the perfect spot for it," he promised. "There's something else," Eliza said, her tone shifting slightly. "The real reason I stopped by today." "Oh?" Tom set the photograph carefully on a clean section of his workbench. "Dad's hosting a barbecue this weekend at his lake house. Nothing fancy, just a small gathering. He'd like you and Alex to come." Tom raised an eyebrow. "A Blackwell barbecue? I'm not sure we'd fit in with that crowd." Eliza laughed. "That's exactly why I want you to come. It's not the usual Blackwell crowd. Dad's invited some of the restoration crew you hired, a few of his close friends, and my doctor from the hospital. Just people who've been important to us recently." She paused. "And you and Alex are at the top of that list." The invitation stirred mixed feelings in Tom. While his business relationship with Gerald Blackwell had evolved into something resembling mutual respect, he'd always maintained a certain distance from the Blackwell social world. "I don't know, Eliza." "Please?" she pressed. "Rose should meet the man who helped her mom when she needed it most. And Alex hasn't seen her since the hospital visit." Tom smiled at the memory of his son's awestruck expression When they'd visited Eliza and newborn Rose in the hospital's private wing, Alex had been uncharacteristically quiet, tiptoeing around the room and whispering questions about the tiny baby. Alex would love to see her again, Tom admitted. He's been asking when baby Rose will visit. Perfect, Eliza said, her face brightening. Saturday at noon? Dad's sending cars for everyone, so don't worry about the drive. We can drive ourselves, Tom said automatically. Eliza gave him a knowing look. Still maintaining that independence, I see. Old habits, Tom shrugged. Fair enough, she conceded. I'll text you the address. As she turned to leave, Tom found himself speaking again. The restoration projects are nearly complete. Eliza paused at the door. I know. I've been thinking about what comes next, he continued. Your father mentioned he has properties in other cities that need similar work. He does, Eliza confirmed. Are you interested? Tom considered the question. 6 months ago, the idea of expanding his business to other cities would have seemed impossible, a distant dream at best. Now, with his growing team and portfolio of successfully completed historical renovations, it felt like a natural next step. I might be, he admitted, but it would mean travel, time away from Alex. Or it could mean a new adventure for both of you, Eliza suggested. Alex mentioned he's interested in architecture when I spoke with him last month. Tom raised an eyebrow. He did? Eliza nodded. He said watching you restore those old buildings made him curious about how they were designed in the first place. He's quite observant for his age. He is, Tom agreed, feeling a surge of pride. I hadn't realized he was so interested in the restoration work. Children absorb more than we realize, Eliza said. Speaking of which, I should get back to Rose before she wears out her grandfather. As Tom walked her to her car, he was struck by how different she seemed from the frightened, guarded young woman he'd met at the bus stop. Motherhood suited her, bringing a confidence and purpose that transformed her. Thanks for the invitation, Tom said as she opened her car door. We'll be there Saturday, Eliza smiled. Good. Oh, and Tom? Dress casual. Dad's apparently bought a new grill and is insisting on cooking everything himself. It could be a disaster. Tom laughed at the image of Gerald Blackwell, titan of industry, struggling with a barbecue grill. Now that I have to see. After Eliza drove away, Tom returned to his workshop, picking up the framed photograph again. A rainy bus stop, such a simple thing, yet it had altered the course of multiple lives. He thought about how different things might have been if he'd stayed inside that night. If he'd minded his own business like most people would have, he would have missed out on not just the professional opportunities that came from his connection to the Blackwells, but also the friendship that had developed between their two families, so different yet finding unexpected common ground. When Alex burst through the door an hour later, full of excited chatter about soccer practice and his new position as midfielder, Tom let him talk himself out before mentioning the barbecue invitation. We're going to see Rose? Alex asked, his eyes lighting up. Awesome. Can I bring my new drawings to show her? She's only 3 months old, buddy, Tom reminded him with a smile. She won't understand drawings yet. Alex considered this problem seriously. But I could explain them to her. Babies need to learn about art early. I read that in science class. Tom ruffled his son's hair affectionately. Sure, bring your drawings. And maybe you can ask Mr. Blackwell about architecture while we're there. Eliza mentioned you're interested. Alex's expression turned slightly sheepish. Yeah, I was looking at some books at the library. Those old buildings you fixed are really cool inside. They are, Tom agreed. If it's something you're really interested in, maybe we could look into some special classes or camps. Really? Alex's face lit up. There's a summer architecture camp at the university. Jackson's older brother went last year and they built model bridges and skyscrapers and everything. Tom smiled at his son's enthusiasm. We'll look into it. Later that evening, after Alex had gone to bed, Tom sat on the back porch of their new home, nursing a cup of coffee and contemplating the strange turns his life had taken. The photograph Eliza had given him sat on the small table beside him, the black and white image somehow capturing both the bleakness of that rainy night and the promise it had unexpectedly held, he thought, about the upcoming barbecue, two worlds colliding in what would surely be an interesting social experiment. But maybe that was the point. Maybe Eliza and her father were trying to create something new, a different kind of gathering that wasn't defined by wealth or status, but by genuine connection. As Tom gazed up at the stars, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. The path forward wasn't clear yet, it never was, but it seemed wider now, with more possibilities than he'd imagined 6 months ago. Whatever came next, he knew he and Alex wouldn't face it alone. Inside the house, the phone chimed with a text message. It was from Eliza, a photo of baby Rose sleeping peacefully in her grandfather's arms, the formidable Gerald Blackwell looking uncharacteristically gentle as he cradled his granddaughter. The caption read, "Some bridges are meant to be built. See you Saturday." Tom smiled and texted back a simple response. Looking forward to it. He took one last look at the photograph of the rainy bus stop before heading inside. Sometimes life's most important turning points come disguised as small decisions. Opening a door, offering help, showing kindness to a stranger. You never really know where such moments might lead. For Tom Wilson, it had led to this: a new home, a thriving business, and an unlikely friendship that crossed social boundaries and changed multiple lives for the better. Not bad for one night of simple kindness in the rain. As he turned out the lights and checked on his sleeping son one last time before bed, Tom felt a deep gratitude for the strange twist of fate that had brought a pregnant heiress to that bus stop on exactly the right rainy night. Some might call it coincidence, others destiny. Tom simply called it the beginning of a new chapter, for all of them.